Hello Year 8. I'm going to spend this video working through my grandma and your grandma as an example of our multicultural poetry to hopefully help you shape your response to the poem of your choice. Firstly, I'll read you the poem. I suggest in your speeches, though, that you just read little extracts. My grandma and your grandma. My grandma pastes her reassuring smile at the school gate for me to hold when the bell rings dismissal. My grandma bakes the buns that warm my winter hands, lights the candle that shines my evening pages, chooses the stories that fill my sleepy eyes. My grandma teaches me the words that cause no harm to others, models me the deeds that brings love over. My grandma makes her own pace to cement my family together, keeps a diary for everyone around her, including my neighbours. My grandma and your grandma are similar. Only my grandma gave away the comfort, the attachment to her homeland, came to offer her children her hands, and has grown her father's roses on this land. Only my grandma is keen to share with me her mother's language. Only my grandma is keen to learn from me your mother's language. Love to call my grandma, Grandma, wouldn't you? I love the depth, beauty and simplicity of this poem by Xuan Duong, a Vietnamese-Australian poet whose work has been associated with Harmony Day and has published his poetry. By following the avid 7 steps of poetry analysis, we can start by looking at the title, My Grandma and Your Grandma. So these possessive pronouns, mine and yours, the poet's bringing them together and making them ours, which is in the spirit of multicultural Australia. The poem starts with a metaphor, which you know is when one thing is described as being another. She pastes her smile at the school gate for me to hold. So you can't hold a smile, you can just smile at someone, but that reassuring smile with the adjective is what allows the child to feel secure during the day. We also enjoy in this poem alliteration. Baking the buns, warming the winter hands. These repetition of B sounds and W sounds give a really gentle warmth to the relationship being explored here. One of the most widely used techniques in poetry is symbolism. And the candle is symbolic. It can, on a literal level, it can see by candlelight, but the candle stands for something much stronger, the shining presence of the grandmother in the child's life is illuminating and warm and spiritual. Another technique that we have is the repetition of stanza structure. Each stanza starts with my grandma, my grandma, my grandma, my grandma, and then there's a shift halfway through the poem. And it is only my grandma, only my grandma, only my grandma. So in the first half of the poem, the universal qualities means wherever you go in the world, there are grandmas like this. However, in the second half, we have the unique qualities. And in this case, it's a uniquely multicultural Australian experience, because the speaker talks about how the grandmother gave up attachment to her homeland, and that she's tried to recreate some of her home by gardening here in the old ways, and sharing language and wanting to learn the language of our land. And this is a poem of admiration and respect. It's not an angry poem. It's not a depressing, sad, confronting poem. It's a gentle poem that affirms what a beautiful life Australia has given to this migrant grandmother and child, but at the same time, the pain that comes with being a stranger in a new land. So if I was using this poem to write a speech on Xuan Duong as one of our key poets in this study, I would be using all of these techniques that come through the Avid 7 Steps of Poetry analysis, and working through that and basically saying, here is a vision of Australia as a land of welcome and of hope, and for people whose own homeland may be unlivable for them, it is a sanctuary and a refuge. So that is my take on My Grandma and Your Grandma by Australian Vietnamese poet Xuan Duong, and I hope you find this really helpful. I'll do a few more and we'll see how we go.